Alright, so before today, this week has been pretty eventful, with the Meg vs. Tory case still going on, now just reaching a point where nobody knows who's lying or not, Gunna finally being freed from prison for the cheap cost of YSL's freedom, in the state of Georgia fighting tooth and nail to try and keep Young Thug locked up, since the whole RICO thing is, obviously not working in their favor. But in some good news, after 6 years, we finally got another Ab's soul album, this time titled Herbert, being more of a thought piece on Ab's mental state these past 6 years since he's been gone, and a damn good way to close out 2022. Alright, so before going through this project, I was a little bit skeptical at first, questioning if this could even make the album of the year talk after being out so late into the year, with people still deep throating Pusha T, Future, and whatever the hell Drake and 21 Savage did. But I think I can gladly say without a doubt that this is one of the better projects from this year, if not album of the year. I mean, its main theme of growth, reflection, and the issues of one's mental health is grasped on all angles of this project over these choppy sample beats, hard-hitting trap sound, and more melodic and synth-heavy beats that I highly enjoyed. And then of course, let's not forget Ab's excellent wordplay on this project, giving us some nice slick little bars such as, and I quote, "I didn't need an AP to put my city on the MAP. She giving me top in the drop, but I'm not a Kennedy." Or my favorite one, "Gave up the knowledge but didn't give up the butt. Still wish she gave up the butt." But at the same time, while we did get those more fun verses and choruses, as stated before, the theme of this album was still there within tracks such as It Be Like That and Do Better, with the former initially talking about how maybe the times have passed him by and he doesn't have that spark anymore, even considering the idea of just giving up completely on music. But then on the second verse, he takes a step back and then starts to encourage himself, realizing that he still has it in him and that he can keep going on forever. Or how in the latter track, Do Better, he talks about his very grim suicide attempt with a music video to help illustrate what he was going through at the time alongside his lyrics. And then you have the tracks like Art of Seduction and Message in a Bottle that also help complement that theme of bettering oneself that makes this project seem a lot more cohesive and grounded. But as for the production, for the most part it was the boom bap sample and bass sound that complemented Ab's rapping, such as on the tracks Moon Shooter, Message in a Bottle, and FOMF, but at the same time it wasn't the whole tamale, with there still being some trap sound and wavy synths tossed in on some tracks such as Hollandaise or No Report Card, with those being my favorite tracks from this album. I mean, the former really taps into the more catchy vibe for just about anyone to get into, relying on heavy bass and hats to complement Ab's energy, although the chorus was pretty weak in my opinion. And then with No Report Card, we get this reverse synth sound alongside the casual boom bap bass to make for this overall chill and melodic sound that perfectly worked with Ab's rapping and made for an excellent follow-up to the intro track. But I suppose if there's one beat that caught my attention was on the track Herbert, although not one of the stronger tracks on this project, still having this weird, wavy, out of mind kind of beat with minimal vocals in the first half that kind of seems like an interlude, but then has a tone switch in the second half that more utilizes the pop trap sound alongside the same wavy melodic sample in the background to make for quite the sore thumb on this album. But then there's the features, which for the most part are pretty alright. I mean, we got some nice singers such as Jhené Aiko and Ombre, but of course we got some of the more lyrical rappers such as Joey Badass and Big Sean that all work together pretty well with Ab's soul. I mean, I think the biggest standouts would have to be Big Sean and Jhené Aiko, with Sean hopping on the track Go Off to give a solid finishing verse, but at the same time it's pretty on par for Big Sean, giving us just as many corny bars as he can give actually good ones, such as, and I quote, "Back against the ropes that they want to lynch me with," but at the same time saying, "I done broke the bank so bad that bitch ain't getting fixed." But still, it was better than what Russ did, giving us a full serving of mediocrity in comparison to whatever Ab Soul and Sean did on the track. But as for Jhené Aiko, she mainly just sang alongside Ab on the track The Wild Side, giving some nice vocals to complement Ab's more monotone voice on another wavy boom bap beat. But overall, while it's not pushing every boundary known to man, it was still a nice eye-opening project to close out the year, with Ab Soul giving us something a lot more personal or close to home in comparison to some of the other popular projects that came out this year. So to put this on the scale, I'm giving us a strong 8 out of 10, being a nice refresher on who Ab Soul really is, both as a person and as a rapper. But how do you guys feel about the new Ab Soul? What would you rate it? Let me know down in the comments, so liking and subscribing, follow my IG and Twitter, and follow Chocolate on Instagram for more illustrations. And on that note, I'll see you guys on Monday when I prepare myself for the greatest Christmas known to man. Peace.